All right, so check this out. Tucker Carlson came at Ted Cruz in this fascinating, like, back and forth. And everyone is like, wow, Tucker Carlson is making some good points. I'm here to argue that Tucker Carlson is not making any good points. Stick with me through it, okay? If you don't know what's happening right now at this moment in history, the United States is about to go to war with Iran. We're like this close. It's right around the corner. And Republicans are getting people whipped into a blood frenzy over it and trying to give people reasons to support the Iran war when there is no good reason for this. I'm just putting that on record right now. Okay, Republicans are split into two groups. There's the group that loves Israel to their dying breath and believes that Israel is like where Jesus is going to land when he comes back to Earth in the end. And then there are the neo-Nazis on the right. Tucker Carlson, as far as I can tell, falls on the neo-Nazi side of the equation. Ted Cruz falls on the other side. So what we have here is two polished right-wing propagandists coming at each other unexpectedly on this issue of Israel. As you listen, keep this in mind. When you're doing a media appearance like this, I'll give you some insight into how you're supposed to do it. You're supposed to have a message, have a specific idea in mind, or if you're doing a long-form 2-hour, conversation like this, then you need to have, all the questions, all the subjects lined up ahead of time so you're not taken by surprise by anything. And you need to come up with a perfect, complete, cohesive understanding of your positions before entering into it. And when you enter into it, you need to come with anecdotes, statistics, and sound bites. Here's just one basic example. Say you're a politician that's trying to get rid of malpractice laws in Pennsylvania. Just hypothetically, that's like a bad thing. Why would anybody get rid of malpractice laws in Pennsylvania? So here's how you frame it as a politician. You say 90% of women, that's the statistic, are further away than 10 miles from their OBGYN. What happens if they go into labor and their OBGYN can't reach them in time because of these malpractice laws? That's the statistic. Then you say, Susie over here, this woman named Susie, doesn't even have to be a real person, almost had to have her baby at home alone because the OBGYN couldn't reach a blah, 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 blah. And then you come up with a soundbite for it. Something like, we need to protect people's rights to make sure they have a right to birth their children safely, or something to that effect. Reframing it. Sound bites, anecdotes, statistics. And throughout interviews like this, you stay on message every single time, all the way through it. And what we're looking for as YouTubers or as critics of this is I think it's called the 7 seconds or something. It's where people slip up and break out of media mode for just a few seconds. They jump off the script of their statistics, anecdotes, or sound bites, and they're not just repeating one of those 3 things. They're giving like insight into what they actually believe. And it's not always overt. There are media answers to how you respond to oppositional opinions against your positions and things. And what we're about to watch is Tucker Carlson and Ted Cruz, 2 polished propagandists who understand everything that I just laid out for you and have been doing it for decades. They're going head to head. So we're going to watch 2 propagandists do everything exactly right as far as propaganda goes. Pay attention, and we'll talk about it as they go.
How many people live in Iran, by the way?
I don't know the population.
At all?
No, I don't know the population.
You don't know the population of the country you seek to topple?
This is very clearly a gotcha. Okay, in a minute, Tucker Carlson asks a question that is not a gotcha. It's a legitimate question. But this one is not really relevant. Who cares what the population is of North Korea? I don't care. If I think that North Korea, if I think it would be a good thing for the North Korean dictator to flip it to democracy, not saying we should go to war with them. I'm just saying their population is irrelevant to what we're trying to do here, right? That's a gotcha. This is a media propaganda technique. I guess I can see the relevance of it, I suppose, of the population of Iran. But I don't think that it's the way that Tucker Carlson was using it was very clearly as a gotcha. And watch how Ted Cruz responds to this gotcha.
The country you seek to topple?
How many people live in Iran?
92 million.
Okay.
Trying to downplay it, point out that it's irrelevant, right?
Yeah,
How could you not know that?
I don't sit around memorizing population tables.
Well, it's kind of relevant because you're calling for the overthrow of the government.
Why is it relevant whether it's,
because
it's 90 million or 80 million or 100 million? What?
By the way, guys, check out my new shop, owenmorgan.com/shop. I have a bunch of really cool designs on there.
Downplaying it. Actually, I can see the relevance to some degree, but Ted Cruz gravitating toward somewhere around what the actual population is makes it seem less relevant and less important than it actually is. Again, it's not even really that important or relevant, but Ted Cruz is still downplaying its importance, right? And now Tucker Carlson is going to come at him with another angle of the gotcha.
Or 100 million. Why is that
Because if
relevant?
you don't know anything about the country...
I didn't say I don't know anything about
Okay, what's the ethnic mix of Iran?
So he's simplifying it. You don't know the population, so you know nothing about the country. And then he's asking another question that's completely irrelevant to whether it's a destructive, damaging regime, right? It very obviously is. Now, I'm not in favor of the Iran war. Again, I said that. But it is a bad country, actually. Tucker probably thought about this beforehand and planned it all out before walking into this. So he says, what's the ethnic makeup? Ted Cruz probably knows that answer, but Tucker has a more precise answer he's going to provide to make Ted Cruz look stupid. So Ted knows he needs to break out of this and not answer the question without looking like he doesn't know the answer.
About the country...
I didn't say I don't know anything about
Okay, what's the ethnic mix of Iran?
They are Persians and
What percent?
predominantly Shia. Okay.
That's correct. Persians, predominantly Shia. Yes. And Tucker says, what percent? He's going to get more and more specific until Ted Cruz doesn't know the answer anymore. He's just going to keep making it seem like Ted Cruz doesn't know anything. That's the end goal here. And Ted Cruz sees it coming and is trying to head it off at the pass and make it clear that Tucker Carlson is doing a gotcha game. He's going to try to portray that to the audience.
Persians and
What percent?
predominantly Shia. Okay. This is
it's not
okay.
even, you don't know anything about Iran. So
Okay,
actually the
I am not
country-
the Tucker Carlson
No, but
expert on Iran.
You're a
who
senator
says,
who's calling
okay,
for the
you're the one who-
Okay, so they're talking over each other, but I want to listen to each individually because, again, this is a polished example of two propagandists at work. So Cruz says, I'm not the Tucker Carlson expert on Iran, i.e., you know way more about Iran, or you're pretending to be smarter than me, or whatever, kind of like an elitist thing, like, oh yeah, you're right, I'm an idiot, almost like he's identifying with Trump supporters who resent, educated elites, quote unquote, right?
Carlson expert on Iran.
You're a
who
senator
says,
who's calling
okay,
for the
you're the one who
overthrow of
claims-
the government.
you're the one
and you
who
don't know anything
claims-
about the country.
No,
All right, so there was a lot of talking over. He says, I don't know everything about the makeup of Iran. I'm not like the Tucker Carlson expert on Iran, but you're the one who claims, and he couldn't get the word in. I'm not sure what he was planning to say there, but he was doing a counter move on Tucker. He was about to shoot back at him with another accusation.
expert on Iran.
You're a
who
senator
says,
who's calling
okay,
for the
you're the one who
overthrow of the
claims-
government.
you're the
and
one
you
who
don't know anything
claims-
about the country.
Oh my God, it's hard to hear. He said, you're a senator.
You're the one who
overthrow of the
claims-
government.
you're the one-
You're trying to overthrow the government. You're a senator. You should know something about the country.
Who's calling
Okay,
for the
you're the one who
overthrow of the
claims-
government.
you're the
and
one
you
who
don't know anything
claims-
about the country.
No, you don't know anything about the country. You're the one who claims they're not trying to murder Donald Trump.
No,
You're the
I'm
one.
not-
And he's saying lies right now. Default to lies. Iran did not try to assassinate Trump. There is zero evidence, that Iran was involved in any way with the assassination attempt against Donald Trump. But Ted Cruz throws out this ridiculous claim about Tucker Carlson not believing this thing because he wants to turn them against him. And also, talking over each other like that is an intentional strategy to prevent people from hearing what's being said. If you don't want people to hear what Tucker is saying, you need to talk over because no one can understand a damn thing then. Although sometimes you run the risk of A, looking like a sore loser, and B, those people listening or tuning into what Tucker is saying anyway, despite you trying to talk over him or whatever.
Okay, you're the one who claims you're the one who claims
about the country.
No, you don't know anything about the country. You're the one who claims they're not trying to murder Donald Trump. You're the
I'm
one
not saying that.
who can't figure.
So the correct response to this is to deny that that accusation is true and flip it around and blame the other person for doing something. Just like Ted Cruz just did. You are claiming that they didn't try to blah, 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 whatever, and blah, blah, blah. So Ted Cruz, basically, he was accused of something just now. The way out of that is to deny and then accuse Tucker of something, which is what he did. Now Tucker's going to deny and accuse Ted of something.
Trying to murder Donald Trump. You're the
I'm
one
not saying that.
who can't figure out
So there's the denial. No, I'm not saying that.
Donald Trump. You're the
I'm
one
not saying that.
who can't figure out if it was a good idea to kill General Soleimani, and you said it was bad.
So he's decided to speak over Ted again because he doesn't want the audience hearing the accusation that he's about to lay down against him. And Ted Cruz just brazenly made shit up that he didn't support the assassination of Soleimani, I think. That was like back in, I think, 2020 when Trump did an airstrike on one of the Iranian generals. Deny the claim and then accuse the other person of something that's absolutely not true. So Tucker says, no, I didn't say that, and now he's going to defend himself while talking over Ted.
Figure out if it was a good idea to kill General Soleimani, and you said it was bad.
They're trying to murder Trump.
Yes, I do.
Because you're not calling for military strikes against them in retaliation. And if you really believe that,
we're carrying out military strikes today.
Okay, now this is really fascinating, this part right here. Tucker probably knew this. He certainly knew this ahead of time. The U.S. specifically and explicitly said, we are not carrying out attacks on Iran or helping, Israel with their attacks. And Tucker Carlson is walking Ted into a trap now by saying, you would be striking Iran. And Ted Cruz is trying to prove his point. So he just comes out with this information that he wasn't supposed to say, that everybody already kind of knew secretly. We are carrying out attacks
against them in retaliation.
This is the 7-second slip, by the way. This is what Tucker was trying to get. He was riling up Ted Cruz to get him to drop his guard and do something stupid. The 7-second split. We are carrying out these attacks.
Strikes against them in retaliation. And if you really believe that,
we're carrying out military strikes today.
You said Israel was.
Right, with our help.
Okay, that's not what they said.
I said we. Israel is leading them, but we're supporting them.
Well, you're breaking news here because the U.S. government last night denied, the National Security Council spokesman Alex Pfeiffer denied on behalf of Trump that we were acting on Israel's behalf in any offensive capacity.
No, we're not bombing them. Israel's bombing them.
So now Ted Cruz has to weasel his way out of this situation with more media techniques. This is so fascinating to me. Damn it, I wish I had more time. So now he has to weasel his way out of this, right? Says, we're not doing it. Israel is doing it. Well, that's clearly not what he just said.
Offensive capacity.
No, we're not bombing them. Israel's bombing them.
You just said we were.
We are supporting Israel.
High stakes. You're a senator. If you're saying the United States government is at war with Iran right now, people are...
Yeah, this is high stakes. He's trying to make Ted Cruz look weak and feckless and indecisive, and he's succeeding gloriously. The thing is, when you're on the defensive in these situations, the best choice is to shut your mouth. Don't say a word. Don't respond to anybody or any criticisms or anything. Just stay silent. But Ted Cruz is backed into a corner where he cannot stay silent. He has to respond because he's sitting there in front of him, right? So Tucker Carlson gets the upper edge, if you will, on Ted Cruz because he's going on the offense. And he even looks at the camera. I love that.
Supporting Israel.
High stakes. You're a senator. If you're saying the United States government is at war with Iran right now, people are listening.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go. There's the clip. We just watched two polished propagandists do everything exactly right if someone else was in that situation. That was a really fascinating watch. The only reason Tucker got the upper hand in this conversation, though, is because he went on the offense and Ted Cruz didn't see it coming. Anyway, people say Tucker is making good points. No, he's just giving gotchas. There are no good points to be had here. He's a neo-Nazi using the same propaganda against his audience that he's been using for generations. He just decided to target somebody else with it. I do think it's useful to some degree to gauge how extensive this war is going to be and how like damaging it's going to be for like, you know, it's not going to be an easy take. So I think that's fair to ask, but it's very clearly a gotcha. Also, Ted Cruz in response posted this image. What is the population of the Death Star? Asking Luke, Tucker Carlson, asking Luke Skywalker. This is a really good piece of propaganda, in my personal opinion. The point is that it doesn't matter what the population is, they have to do it. But for the record, somebody else retweeted that and said, real Star Wars heads know that in Shield of Lies from 1996, Luke reveals he memorized the exact number of people he killed on the Death Star and their stations, and the weight of it stays with him constantly. Loser. That's pretty good. That's good. I guess I can see the relevance of it, I suppose, of the population of Iran. But I don't think that it's... The way that Tucker Carlson was using it was very clearly as a gotcha. One of the interesting things that I feel is worthy to mention here is that that 7 seconds of slip don't apply to certain people. Like, since Donald Trump entered the White House, entered politics, those 7 seconds are irrelevant for Trump, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, and just a bunch of other famous scumbags. It doesn't matter what these people say, and it's because the Trump cult has been conditioned to not care what they say. They don't care. Trump could say literally anything, and his little cult would not care. Chuck Schumer, on the other hand, for example, if he said some of the shit that Trump says in his 7-second slips, his career would be over permanently. And that fact that Schumer is susceptible to the is susceptible to the 7-second slip, but Trump is not, is used against Democrats a lot. I thought it was an interesting case study in propaganda and how it's spread, how it's used, and things like that by the far right. But yeah, tell me what you think.